As you know, I've been trying to follow the latest developments in what's become known as the space economy. And I've learned it's actually much bigger than even I could have imagined. Today, we'll take you on a flight into space, a flight like you've never seen before. It's getting harder every day to keep up with what's happening in the space economy. In other words, it's getting harder to keep up with Elon Musk. Now, before I get started, I should make it clear I have no financial interest in any of Elon's companies. I own no shares, and I will not be buying them. And in particular, the stock market listing of SpaceX that kicked off in mid-June. We'll have more on that later in this episode. So here's why this is such a big deal. I think the unique combination of Musk's companies is the most powerful mix of high-tech ever created, and possibly the most powerful business ever built. What we are now just beginning to understand is everything in Elon's world is vertically integrated into one giant information system. In the SpaceX stock market documents, Musk simplified the big strategy like this. It's all about space, connectivity, and artificial intelligence. But it's a whole lot more than that. It's a system of 5 integrated parts: robots, the internet from space, reusable rockets for delivery into orbit, and now a gigantic factory for making advanced computer chips, and all of this servicing a cloud of artificial intelligence. One analyst I came across put it this way: this is the biggest internet infrastructure project since the birth of the internet itself. Let's start with what's happening here on Earth. First, the robots. I'll include the Tesla electric cars in that definition because even Elon describes his EVs as a 4-wheeled robot. The Tesla electrics have now accumulated 10 billion miles of safe motoring, and every mile delivers huge volumes of data from their 9 onboard cameras. That data collection is about to explode with the launch of the robo-taxi, a cab that has no steering wheel and no pedals. Elon Musk is predicting there will be millions of these autonomous taxis on the road, every one collecting information in real time that goes directly into a knowledge system that is shared across all the Musk companies, including, of course, Optimus. The latest version of this humanoid robot is now in production, and like the Tesla cars, the robot uses cameras to learn how to behave. The idea is to develop through visual information, just like we do with the human eye. Again, everything Optimus learns is shared with all the other machines. Now let's talk about what's happening in space. And this is where it all gets really exciting. Starting with Starlink, a network of 10,000 satellites orbiting about 200 miles above the Earth, providing internet and telephone services to more than 10 million subscribers here on Earth. This system is the key to the future of the space economy. This is where advanced computers will be orbiting the Earth, processing huge amounts of information, acting just like those problematic Earth-bound AI data centers that we've talked about in previous episodes. But with the advantage of unlimited power provided 24/7 all year round and at zero cost, provided by the sun. Now, the big story, and that is SpaceX. As I've reported before, the cost of launching satellites into orbit has always been the biggest challenge for the space economy. But SpaceX has largely eliminated that problem by building reusable rockets, bringing the heavy hardware of spaceflight back to Earth for recycling for the next mission. The rockets returning to either captured in the launch pad by what are called chopsticks or recovered from a soft landing in the ocean. That big idea has dramatically cut the cost of launch. And it's repeatable. They've already done this over 600 times. This May, there was a flight into space that convinced me this whole big idea is actually achievable. I'll show you what I mean. So let's take a closer look. Please forgive me for my rough and inaccurate effort at building a model, but I thought it would be useful to explain. This is Starship 3. The Starship 3 is the biggest and most powerful rocket system ever built. The real thing is exactly 100 times the size of this model, standing at 407 feet tall. The bottom stage here is called the Super Heavy Booster, capable of carrying up to 100 metric tons of payload into orbit. At the bottom here are 33 engines, and here's what they look like before launch. Above the engines is pretty much all fuel tank carrying 5,000 metric tons of liquid fuel. Above that is the Starship itself, with its own 6 engines to take it into orbit, and it carries 1,600 tons of liquid fuel. You are about to see these two stages separate 2 minutes and 30 seconds into flight. A key part of all of this is the payload bay, where 20 satellites will be released out into space. And you'll be able to see a vision in space that no one has ever seen before. Now, if you've already seen this, I'm sorry. We're going to see it again. I can't get enough of this.
6, 5, 4, 3, ignition. We have liftoff.
Here's the first stage booster, known as Super Heavy, as it separates from the rest of the ship. The moment that excited me most was this. We can see inside the payload bay as the 22 test satellites are ejected out into space and into orbit. And one of them carried lights and a camera. So here we can look back at the Starship. We've never seen anything quite like this before. What an amazing view. And now to the final part of the space economy puzzle, and that is computer chips. Every chip maker in the world is working to full capacity, but delivering just a fraction of the demand being created by artificial intelligence. In particular, the demand being created by Elon Musk's adventure. The chip makers are booked out for the next 3 years. Of course, making digital chips is complicated, and the process relies on services from 3 different continents. So Elon's response, there aren't enough chips, we'll make our own, and all under one roof. Recently, he announced a project called TerraFab, a gigantic factory in Texas, covering millions of square feet and at an estimated construction cost of $35 billion.
We either build the TerraFab or we don't have the chips. And we need the chips, so we're going to build TerraFab.
The scale of this guy's ambition is quite hard to describe. His plan for the Starship rockets is to build a factory on the moon mostly operated by Optimus robots, then launch rockets from the moon for the next great adventure, all the way to Mars. In his documentation for the stock market listing of SpaceX, Elon Musk described the company's mission this way. Our mission is to build the systems and technologies necessary to make life multiplanetary, to understand the true nature of the universe, and to extend the light of consciousness to the stars. The stock market listing of SpaceX went ahead as planned on June the 12th, delivering a valuation of the company at almost $1.8 trillion, providing cash to the company of over $85 billion, and making Elon Musk the world's first trillionaire. There were no big surprises at the stock listing. However, what did surprise me was the reaction to it. There were many people on the left and across a lot of the mainstream media who ferociously attacked Musk, declaring there's no way Elon had ever earned his reward. No celebration of the most successful stock market listing in history. It's always amazed me how some people fill themselves with the bitterness that comes from jealousy and hate. Now, in spite of all that, the SpaceX shares are trading, and who knows where that price might go. Now, naturally, there are lots of skeptics. Elon is renowned for making grand predictions, and his timing for delivery is usually late, sometimes very late. But I can't help admiring the man's vision and his capacity for taking risks. In any event, the space story for Elon never stopped.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Just recently, SpaceX conducted another test, this time of its well-proven Falcon 9 rocket. In fact, this rocket, launching from Cape Canaveral in Florida, had already flown 29 times before. On one of its missions, this rocket was used to rescue astronauts from the International Space Station. But this flight was all about testing a precise landing on a remote-controlled drone ship in the Atlantic.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Heading to Earth at 8,000 kilometers an hour, the ship is slowed down by a blast from its engines, and you can see 2 of the 4 grid fins that guide the rocket to its target. And there it is, right below. It was a perfect landing. More evidence of the amazing reusability of these machines.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
Now, I hope you've found this interesting. Personally, I'm fascinated by all this. None of it is fake. There is no AI in the telling of this story. It's all real. And I'm witnessing things from space that I never imagined I would ever see. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you again in the next episode of Gary's in the Shed.